We're both matching our stripes today.
We are. That's it.
Matching.
I feel like we do that a lot at work, actually.
We do it. Maybe
Me too.
our brains have synced up.
Maybe it's our brain frequency.
Yeah, our brain frequency.
Yeah.
We've synced up.
I did hear something about that. I can't remember. I saw like a post. It was like, you sync up with your really close friends and you can know what each other are thinking.
Mm,
We also synced up with our periods as well.
I think women are a bit witchy.
Yeah, I've said
I
this.
think this. I genuinely think all women are witches, like in a best way possible. I saw this quote once, which was like, "We are the we are the great great granddaughters of the witches that they didn't burn." But if you think about it, it's completely off topic as well, and it was such a random way, such a random way to start the podcast. But if you think about it, you know, all the witches in Salem. Like, if witches are real,
Yeah.
which I do think they are, then they would have been smart enough to not get burnt.
But how can you not get burnt? Like this?
No, like they wouldn't have been caught. They wouldn't have been caught as witches.
I mean, I'd like to be a witch so I can make actual spells. Maybe
I
that's what manifesting is.
I was obsessed with spells when I was younger. I remember my nan bought me this spell Bible, and we always used to go to this witch shop near us. Like, it's not a witch shop; it's like a pagan Wiccan shop.
Yeah.
And I used to get like certain candles and do like all the rituals. And I remember after my last relationship, I did a rope tying thing. Have you seen it? It's like the two candles, and you do the
Is it
rope.
where you like it like detaches you, basically.
Yeah.
Thing, yeah.
Oh my God. Also, the funniest
Did it
thing.
work?
I don't know. I think we were pretty detached anyway. But oh my God, I remember last year, right? I was so desperate to get Glastonbury tickets because I had been the year before, and I was like, I need to go. I need to go. And I was like, okay, I was looking up manifestation spells and what to do, and it was a full moon, and you have to write on a piece of paper, and I wrote like, you have to say it as if you've already done it, and it was like, I've just got tickets for Glastonbury, and then I burnt the piece of paper and I buried it in the garden to put it back into the earth.
I thought that was like, I've done that before, but I thought that was something that you do when you're like want to let go of something. When you're breaking up with someone, you write them a letter and then you burn it and then you let go of it. What is
You
this?
can do it. It's same,
Oh,
but
it's cord cutting. What you
yeah,
cord cutting workshops. I've seen those.
it did not work. I did not get.
I've done a visual cord cutting before.
Anyway, it's slightly off topic. Yeah. What are we talking about today, Emily?
We're talking about ADHD burnout, which is not just burnout. And I think I have experienced ADHD burnout probably 3 times in my life. And I never knew until I was diagnosed that was ADHD burnout. Because, I mean, what would the definition be of normal burnout? We should have probably looked at that.
Yeah. So normal burnout, I'm thinking about it, is more of like a neurotypical normal burnout is very situational.
Yeah.
And it is, you know, if you can take yourself out of the situation and you can get out of it, you know, the stress reduces and then you get out of the burnout. Whereas ADHD burnout is like burnout times 10. And it's not just being stressed, it's like a complete shutdown of your executive functioning, basically. And it stops you from doing anything, and it's a lot harder for ADHD people to get out of the burnout cycle because you get burnt out, which worsens your ADHD symptoms, which makes it harder to, you know, build yourself back up again, so you're stuck in the cycle. So yeah, a lot more intense than normal burnout, I would say.
And I think it comes from like you said, it's very true. Like burnout could be situational at work. You could absolutely have ADHD burnout from work, but whereas like ADHD burnout for a normal neurotypical person might come from a certain like situation or like period at work of like 1 month of like really intense work. ADHD burnout, I feel like, is just like months and months of overcompensating, overworking yourself, masking, and then it all just hits you at once.
Yeah.
I feel like people with ADHD feel a little bit invincible. We get really fixated on things and we want to do well, perfectionists, especially women. And then our body basically just gets to a point where it's saying to us, you literally can't do this
Yeah,
anymore.
you
have to
cannot
stop.
keep going.
Yeah.
You cannot keep going, and it's literally just like your brain shutting down and saying no. And I think especially for people with ADHD, right, you require so much more cognitive effort to do normal
Yeah.
things, right? And so on top of that, it makes it even worse because you're already required to do so much more. You're overcompensating, you're masking, and then at some point it shuts down. There's only so long that you can sustain
Yeah.
that amount of overcompensating on your brain.
100%. And it's like, this is why reasonable work adjustments are so important. And I
Mm,
didn't realize until I started going back in the office again and then got burnout why this was happening. Because for me, like getting to the office is alone like a big mental task.
mm,
Getting out of bed and then having like all of my thoughts then come to me when I wake up and all the million things that I need to do, getting ready for work, commuting to work.
mm.
And then before you've even, like a neurotypical person wouldn't really overthink that process. But for us, it's like that's in itself
Yeah.
such a draining task.
I've seen so many videos, TikToks. I'm like, oh yeah, I read an article.
Yeah.
I watched a
Yeah.
TikTok. And it was talking about the way that ADHD brains break down tasks. And
Okay.
it's really interesting. So if you think of a neurotypical brain,
Yeah.
getting to work is okay, you get up, you get dressed, you walk out, you walk to the station, you get on the train,
Yeah.
and you get into the office. Whereas for an ADHD brain, it's like those tasks are broken down into so many more mini tasks. So for me, getting up and getting ready isn't just getting up and getting ready. It's I've got to get out of bed. I've got to take my pajamas off, and then I've got to get into the shower, and then I've got to like
Yeah.
wash my hair, and then I've got to put my clothes on or decide what clothes I'm going to wear. And then I've got to, do my makeup and step by step and then do this before and then make sure to remember my keys and lock the door and walk to the station. And then getting on a train is so overstimulating as
Yeah.
it is. And it's just all like, instead of it being one task, it is like a million tiny tasks, which makes it so much more overwhelming. And it's so difficult to
So
explain.
difficult to explain. And it's that executive dysfunction.
Mm,
It's like you mentioned there, deciding what to wear in the morning. I just go for the same. What do I have for breakfast? And I can think about what I want to have for breakfast for like 10 minutes.
mm,
Whereas I've only got like a small amount of things in my fridge that I can possibly have for breakfast anyway.
mm,
But that becomes this whole thing before I go to
mm.
work. And then I get in the office and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot my lunch. And then I'm trying to think what am I going to have for lunch.
Yeah.
And then that becomes a whole thing. And then you're in the office and then you have rejection sensitivity dysphoria. So you're constantly thinking about all the interactions with
Mm,
people. And it's just like work in itself, I think, is probably one of the biggest causes of ADHD burnout,
mm.
especially women, because we mask so much in these
Yeah. And
situations.
it's like so many women are high functioning for such a long time until they finally snap.
Yeah.
And it's because you're working 10 times harder than a normal person would. And you put so much pressure on yourself to do really well at work. Like, I think there's this thing about how when you're younger, you receive so many more microaggressions of being told you're lazy or to stop doing that or to, put more into your work. And then so when you get older and you are in a job, you are overcompensating. You are doing everything like times 10 because you are trying to prove yourself
Mhm.
that you can do all of these things. So you're staying at work late, you're working over your lunchtime, you're
Yeah.
trying to like get things done before deadlines.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, it's just everything comes crumbling down. And it's even harder when you're in burnout because I think there's so much shame around it. It's like you can't give yourself the like, okay, I'm really stressed out. I just need to relax. Like there's all the shame of like, why am I not good enough?
Yeah.
Why can't I do this? And it just adds to that burnout as well.
Yeah, massively. I remember when I started my first job
Mm,
after university, and it was my first it was a graduate job, and it was in the office, and um I was masking so
mm,
much with that job. And then I remember like just so many things were happening to my body. Like I got hormonal adult acne that was just so
mm.
painful, which honestly was probably linked looking back. So I'd never had spots throughout school, and then all of a sudden to have the worst acne ever. I just remember feeling awful. I remember waking up one day and I just couldn't get out of bed. I literally could not get out of bed, and I needed to go to the office, but I couldn't physically get out of bed. And the amount of shame around that, as someone who's taking this graduate job, and it was pretty good salary. It was a very competitive job as well at the time. Uh, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't get out of bed. And I had no idea back then that that was ADHD. I
No.
just thought I'm being lazy.
Yeah, and you don't. You
Yeah.
just think, "Oh, what's wrong with me? Just get
Yeah.
up." Just
But why can everyone else do it?
yeah, why is everyone else managing
Yeah.
and I'm not? I think I probably had it before, but in my first experience of ADHD burnout was probably the thing that led me going to the doctors, that led me to getting a diagnosis, but it was when I was a teacher.
So,
And
by the way, when you
yeah,
start teaching.
it was honestly like the level of masking I cannot even explain. Like I always say to people, like imagine at a normal job having to do 5 presentations to a group of people like back to back, like an hour, that's your whole day. And then you're masking so much because in a classroom, like everyone's looking at you. You have to be,
Yeah.
on it. If you show any sort of weakness,
Yeah.
the kids will just take advantage of you. And it'd be like, there'd be days where I felt awful. Like I had so much stuff going on and I was like upset. It's like you just go into the classroom and you've just got to like put it on and just pretend like there's nothing going on. And that is draining. And I remember just coming home and getting into bed and I'd be so drained that it'd be like I couldn't even get changed out of my work clothes into my pajamas and I'd just lie in my bed and I'd be like, I don't even want to sit and scroll on my phone. I just literally want to lay in my bed and stare at the ceiling and didn't want to eat, didn't want to like brush my teeth or go for a shower because I physically couldn't get myself up. And it was like in my mind, I'm going over and going over, being like, just get up. You're being so lazy. Like, why are you so lazy? Blah, 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 all of this. But it's such a weird,
You can't explain it.
I can't get up. It's like, no matter how much I'm telling myself and motivating myself to, there is nothing that is getting me up. Like, my bed could have set on fire and I probably just would have laid in it
Yeah.
because I just couldn't
You
get
just
up.
can't. And you, I mean, I thought that I was depressed when it happened to me because I just couldn't stop crying. The second time it happened, I remember just literally crying on my bathroom floor. And I've noticed that we talk about ADHD burnout coming from masking, but it definitely also comes from major life
Yeah.
changes or transitions. Looking back at all the major life changes that have happened, moved back from Australia being one of them, and like I just remember crying on my bathroom floor and being like, I just felt like there was no hope. Like, how could it ever possibly get like worse than this? Um, and I did have like for the first time suicidal thoughts. And I remember my mum coming in the room and she was like, "What is going on?" And I was just like, I couldn't stop crying. I don't know what is wrong with me. I just can't. I don't want to do anything. And I was like, the thing is for me as well, and I think this is something we should do a whole episode on, is like job hopping and how much shame I had around that and how much it made me feel like a failure and like I'm lazy and why does everyone else start jobs and really like them? Why do I always forget so long into a job and I want to leave? And I just didn't know. I didn't understand. And then that's obviously what led me. And I think there probably is always this breaking point for someone who hasn't been diagnosed, especially women, which probably is ADHD burnout, where you just get to a point you go, I cannot do this anymore.
I cannot handle this anymore. I cannot.
Yeah.
I think also, so I've got written down here of like what the actual burnout cycle is.
Oh my God.
So obviously we start off, we all know this, the hyperfocus motivation spike, getting so into something.
Just probably like starting a new job.
Yeah, starting a new job, you're hyper focused on it.
Yeah.
You're really interested in it. And at the time, it's like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
That's motivating you, which then leads to overcommitment.
Yeah.
And so you're overcommitting, you are spending more time at work, you're spending more time on hobbies or things like this, you're putting everything into it.
Yeah.
Then perfectionism. So trying to be the best person at work, trying to, make sure everyone knows that you're doing really well at work, which leads to the masking, which then leads to exhaustion because you're drained from all the masking, which then leads to a crash/shutdown. So that's when your body's like, no, I cannot do this anymore. And then we get to shame of being like, why can't I just do this? And then the cycle completely restarts. And so you're constantly going through this cycle, and you're probably at very different stages throughout, different months, but
It's interesting.
it's always constantly going on a loop. And obviously some ADHD burnouts is like larger and life-changing than others. But when I think back in the last couple of months, like I've had loads of little mini burnout cycles of going
This
through
is what I mean.
this.
This is interesting because how many things in your life could you actually relate this to
Mm,
someone with ADHD? There's so many things. Even like fixated on certain foods.
mm.
I know it's not exactly the same, but it's kind of the same thing. You almost become obsessed with it, you commit to it, and then it's, oh, I'm bored of this now. It's not the same, but like
It's
this,
quite similar. I mean,
they actually are. Like, I'm thinking about it. It's actually just so many different, like, little things.
it's like I got hyperfixated on tuna. I said this to you, but on tuna.
It's over exhausted.
I've had enough of it. It was like I was obsessed with tuna melts for a while. All I could think about was tuna melts, and then I'm overconvinced.
You almost burn yourself out of tuna melts.
Yes,
You don't want that.
now I don't want to eat a tuna melt ever again.
But I think the reason why this is so hard, especially in work, from my own experience and other people that I've seen go through this, is that what you actually do when you're hyperfixating and you're overcommitting is you're exerting yourself way too much, and you're also, it's not sustainable.
No.
So when you first start a job, you're obviously like, you're the best you're probably ever going to be because you want to prove yourself. And especially when you've got ADHD as well, that then adds another layer of it. So you feel invincible.
You do.
It's like, oh, I can do all this work. But actually, that's not you.
No.
It's your ADHD.
Yeah.
And it's not sustainable. You can never sustain that without completely breaking.
No, you can't. And I've got written down here, because I think this relates, is that ADHD brains struggle with energy regulation, not just time management. And I think that is it's such a good way of describing it. Because when I think, at work, sometimes I'm like a superhero. Like I can be so productive, and I think about the amount of work that I can get done in half the time of everyone else. And I'm like, I have so much energy, I can do all of it. But then I think like a neurotypical person throughout a whole month, exerts quite a similar level of energy throughout. But it's like, think of, I'm just draining my battery so much quicker than everyone else. It's like, first week I'm like, I'm invincible, I can do everything. And I'm just going at 100%. And then by the end of it, it's like my battery is completely depleted. Whereas other people are like 5% this day, 5% that day,
exactly.
It's I can't regulate the amount of energy that I'm putting onto things as an equal amount.
And that is why I think working from home is actually really good for me, and should be pushed for if you have ADHD, because I could have a really productive hour, and then I might have another hour where I'm not as productive, but then I can actually be in my flat and I can maybe do something, then go back to it. And at work, you are constantly being watched.
You're chained to your desk, and it's like, it's not a natural way of working.
It's not. And you feel on edge because it's like you're being watched by everyone around you, that you're constantly working. But in reality, that's, even for a neurotypical person, I don't know if that's completely normal to sit there all day.
From 9 to 5, you should not be sat at your desk. And I think as well for ADHD people, when I think about like the days that I'm in the office, the things that stress me out is, I've been in the office all day working from 9 to 5. Maybe I haven't taken a lunch break. And then like I get home, and when I get home, there's so much stuff I've got to do at home. Like I've got to put a wash on, or I've got to cook dinner and things like that. But when you're working from home, it's like, okay, I do a few hours of work, and then I can literally just go put a wash on, and then I can go back, continue with my work. And then like when I finish the day at 5, I don't have to travel home. I'm literally at home, so I can already start prepping for dinner.
And really interesting that you've said that, is it's like I like doing those little things when I'm at home, like putting my wash on, or, taking the bins out, these little things that at work will be on my mind all day. And I know that a neurotypical person, that wouldn't be on their mind all day. But I know that then it comes into, then I'm going to work again. And because those little things are so difficult for me anyway, it then becomes the weekend, and I'm like, oh my God, I've got all this to do and I've not done any of it. And And I feel like I'm coming home and I've got all this stuff to do.
Yeah, and it's even more overwhelming.
It is because you've been at work all day.
But also, I think little tasks that break up your workday,
They help.
they help and they make the day so much more manageable. Like when I'm in the office, obviously you can have little breaks, but your little breaks include literally just going and standing outside or going for a walk or grabbing food
And then coming back to the
from the
office
shop
and
and then
something.
coming back to the office, and it's like that does not break up my day. And I feel like there's always the expectation that you have to be at your desk working the whole time,
Mhm.
when in reality that's just not natural for anyone regardless of ADHD. Like obviously it's a lot worse with ADHD, but it's just not natural to be. That's not what we were born for. Humans were not put onto this earth to sit at a desk and stare at a computer screen for like 6-7 hours.
No, but it makes me wonder how many people think that they are lazy and they aren't good at their job or they're not in the job that they should be
Mm,
in. But they've actually have ADHD because it like being in an office environment for someone with ADHD is is extremely
mm,
and I can't even imagine what it'd be like to be in a corporate.
yeah,
Be like
super.
at a corporate, but imagine being in at a corporate
Yeah,
and like like having like 400 people in an office,
yeah.
people on the phones, and everyone's like, oh, I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it. It'd be insane. They do say that people with ADHD thrive in careers that are more like not high pressure, but like
Really?
have a lot of variety.
Right.
So, say for example, like apparently being a doctor is quite a good job for someone with ADHD, because can you imagine like
Every day's
every
different.
day is different. There's loads of things going on, and I hate when people say ADHD is a superpower, but you know what? At some points, it does feel like a
Yeah.
superpower, because I feel like my ability to juggle multiple things at once, obviously, it does come crashing down a lot of the
Yeah.
time, but my ability to juggle so many different things and like be starting on this and then
Yeah.
starting on this is like something that I don't think a lot of people
Could
would
have.
could
Yeah.
have.
I feel like that's why this works for us as well. Because I feel like we're both just have that ability to, you know, what you're doing,
Yeah,
a few things, I'll do a few things, but I do think that a lot of people would never, they're quite tunnel vision. They wouldn't have the
yeah,
ability to focus on that and also have a job and also have friends. And
mm.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it is
It's
sometimes.
crippling sometimes.
We're like, oh no, we've not posted any videos. But I think it'd be good because we've actually got a symptom list here. Maybe we
Mhm,
could read out like two each
mhm.
of the actual ADHD burnout symptoms. For anyone who might be listening, I'm thinking whether or not they've got
Yeah.
ADHD burnout. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. So we've got extreme fatigue, emotional numbness. So literally being like I said before, of I am so tired, like sleeping 12 hours a night
Yeah.
and waking up and being like, I am exhausted. I could sleep even more. And just being numb, it's that feeling of I actually would rather feel sad than feel numb. Because, when you're numb, it's just like you feel like a bottomless pit of like nothing
Yeah.
is going to make me happy. Nothing's making me sad. And it's like I just can't feel anything. Like I'm just in a
Empty.
void. I'm empty.
Yeah. Okay, what else do we have? Executive dysfunction worsening. That's such a thing. So like even like the smallest decisions just feel
Mm,
huge. Like, having, let's say you've got a to-do list and you need to book a doctor's appointment, book a dentist appointment. I remember at times of burnout, that would literally feel like the biggest possible task, or trying to make a decision of like, what am I going to have for dinner? I sometimes just wouldn't have anything for dinner because the thought of actually having to decide what to have for
mm,
dinner was so difficult.
it is.
So I think when those things are becoming really hard, but like definitely like those things that are typically quite easy decisions,
Yes.
um, that's definitely a sign.
It's like the things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis that keeps you going as an adult,
Yeah.
the simple things like showering, brushing your teeth, making yourself dinner, when they become impossible tasks,
Yeah.
then that's probably a good sign that
Something's not
it's
right.
something's not right.
And brain fog, which for me, I don't know for you, but for me, it just feels like I just feel like everything no, you know when you wake up and you've got a clear brain? You know when you're a bit
Mm,
hungover?
yeah,
I think that's what brain fog kind of feels
yeah,
like. It's like you're not quite there,
mm.
um, and you just feel a little bit slower.
It's like someone says something to you and you're just like, it's like your brain hasn't even processed. You're like, what? What? And it's like takes you a little bit longer for things to process or to, just think about things. It's like I think of it as like your brain is just so cloudy and slow. It's like it's on when you what's it when you like put the TV on like I don't even know like when you put it on like the reverb or like the really slow it feels like that and it's like everything's going at like 1 mile per hour.
Nothing. Well, it's essentially just like being in a foggy environment. You
Yeah,
walk outside and it's really foggy, and you just things don't feel quite clear. But you're there, but it's just not clear. And I think that's basically what
yeah,
it's like. You're just not quite there.
yeah, there's just nothing really.
We've done a great
Great explanation. It's basically just fog in your brain. That's pure science. Inability to start
Yeah.
tasks. Just you literally just can't start it. It's like, oh, I know that I need to do this.
Yeah.
Can't start it. Need to do this for work. Need to send an email. Kind of goes into the executive dysfunction. Losing interest in things you love. I think this is a really
Mm.
big one as well. I think that if you have those certain things that you know that you love doing, like you love going to Pilates or listening to music or watching your favorite series and things like that, and then when you just have no interest in it whatsoever,
Yeah.
it's just like I don't want to do it. I don't love it anymore.
Yeah.
Um, that's probably a big indicator. I think that one's usually the one that I always notice the first when I'm going through a big burnout is that I just don't want to do anything
That you enjoy.
that I enjoy.
Listening to music's a funny one actually, because I feel like that is actually the one thing that it's probably my favorite thing,
Mm.
maybe not in the world. I don't know. I love music, and I feel like when I've been burnt out, and you can never find a song that you enjoy.
You're like, oh, what song?
Oh,
I don't even know what I'm in the
six.
mood
Yeah, you
for.
just nothing is hitting.
Mm.
Um, and then the final one is withdrawal from people, which is probably the most difficult because it's the time when you probably need people the most,
Mm.
but all you want to do is be alone.
Yeah, I just stopped
Yeah,
replying to people
yeah,
completely. I just am like, I just can't be bothered.
yeah,
I just can't do it. And it's just like, probably it does make it worse because that's the time where you do need to
yeah.
speak to people more. But it's just the thought of speaking and it's just exhausting.
It is, and then, but you also know, as someone who's, highly sensitive and emotional, that people will be wondering why you're not messaging them back.
Mm,
And you know that they're going to think, "Oh, is she okay?
yeah.
Is everything all right?" But you can't. But
Mm,
you've also got that all on top of you as well, which makes it even
yeah.
worse because you're withdrawing, but then you think, "Oh my god, I hope they don't think I don't like them." But I just can't. I literally can't.
Just can't do it. So I think like when you look at all those symptoms, a good way of just thinking about it is I think ADHD burnout just looks like depression and it can
Yes.
feel like depression. I think that's why a lot of people get depression and ADHD burnout confused because all of these symptoms are literally the same symptoms of being depressed.
Yeah, literally. Which is why I think for so long I thought I was depressed.
Mm, but it was actually
But
just
I
burnout.
think I think it, like we said, it often is linked to like like a situation, not a situational thing, but it's like usually there's something that I think just tips you over the
Mm.
edge. But it's just been like months of it
It's like the
happening.
straw that broke the camel's back,
Exactly.
it's like months of doing things, of masking, overcompensating,
Yeah.
and then there'll be one thing which actually might not even be that big of a deal, but it is enough
Yeah.
just to tip the iceberg.
And I guess the thing difference with depression and ADHD burnout is that depression is obviously like often quite prolonged,
Yes.
whereas this could be 2 weeks of a burnout, and then things change in your life, and then you're okay
It's
again.
like, this is amazing. But then that's probably another reason why so many people with ADHD get misdiagnosed with like bipolar, because I used to think I was
So
bipolar because I was like, oh my God, I have high highs and low lows. And I used to do, I remember sitting on my computer in my bedroom and being like, doing like, do I have bipolar quizzes? Because I'd be like, there were times where I felt like I was manic, like I was like up till like 3, 4 a.m., like doing all these things, rearranging my room. And then like a couple weeks later, I'd be like, cannot get out of bed, hiding under my covers and like didn't want to speak to anyone. And for me, I was like, well, that must be bipolar because it's like the manic and
yeah,
the depression.
yeah, it's such a thing. I thought I had BPD
Mm,
for so long, and it probably was. Well, I think it definitely was ADHD, but this all comes into what we spoke about in our previous
mm,
episode around because women aren't ever thought to, well, girls, for example,
mm.
never thought to have ADHD. We just go to all these other possible
Mm.
scenarios because I would never, ever, as a young girl, thought it would have been ADHD. It would have been BPD. I was convinced.
Well, it's like you sit there and you think, well, I must have borderline personality disorder. Like that, obviously, it's like it can't be ADHD. It must be like bipolar or borderline
Yeah.
personality. It's like the most obvious thing of ADHD isn't actually the most obvious thing. And I think as well, like when you get into burnout, you end up the worst thing of burnout, I think for me personally, is going into the shame spiral of that spiral of being like, when you've built so many systems up and they all come crumbling down and you're like, oh, I was doing so well for so long. Like
Yes.
why is it now that I cannot
Do it.
cannot cope with it? Your productivity drops, you have no organization, and you're just feeling like even more of a shit person because you can't do all of these things. You're like, oh, well, I was doing this like a couple of weeks ago, so why now
Can't I do it?
can't I do it?
But I think on that note, it's really important to say that if you are listening to this because you do have ADHD
Mm,
burnout and you're going through it, first of all, um, I'm very sorry that you're experiencing that because it's probably like one of the worst feelings
mm,
ever. But also, we have both experienced ADHD burnout and we've managed to get through it. And you
yes.
always will get through it.
You always think in the moment, this is the worst I'll ever feel, and there's no way out of this. Like, life cannot get better. But life does get better, and you just have to have that belief that, the situation you're in at the moment is temporary and you will get out of it. And it's obviously not easy to get out of it, but there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, but also as well, I feel like the more it happens, the more I'm aware of it happening.
Yes.
So the first time it ever happened, I wouldn't have had a clue. The second time, probably not. Now I have ADHD diagnosis. I will know for a fact when it's happening,
Mm,
and I will know that it's ADHD burnout.
mm.
But you don't have that.
You notice the patterns, but also I think, you're able to give yourself more grace. Before it'd be like all this shame of sat there being like, why can't I do this? Why can't I get up? I can't even brush my teeth right now. And I'd feel so bad about myself. Whereas now, if I get into that place, I'm like, okay, well, I just need to be kinder to myself. I need to just, I know that the reason I'm like this is because I'm in ADHD burnout, and it's about, noticing those patterns and being kinder to yourself. So I think after speaking about obviously how bad ADHD burnout is and all of these things, I think it'd be quite nice to end on, how do you actually recover? How do you get out of the ADHD burnout cycle?
Yeah, this is obviously like my own experience, so everyone else will be completely different. But taking a break is so important because ultimately ADHD burnout comes from being your nervous system being overloaded,
Mm,
whether that be your from work, and then also like one of the things that I'm quite good at doing when my nervous system is overloaded is spending more time on social media,
mm,
which only overloads my nervous system even more. I end up getting more obsessed with the exercise because I feel like that's the thing that's going to help
yeah.
relax me. And I think one of the best things that I did um previously was actually to just take a break.
Mm,
Take time off work if you need it. Like,
yeah.
be honest to yourself. You need to take time off work, even if it's a week. Take a week off work. That's going to make a freaking huge
Yeah.
difference. And in that week of work, don't think about work. Do things that make you happy. Find all of those little things that you enjoyed again because you lose yourself in
Mm.
ADHD burnout.
And don't be ashamed for saying that you need help. And don't be like, there are so many times at work where I've seen other people, take time off for stress and things like that, and I've never sat there and thought,
Yeah.
"Oh God, they're being so overdramatic about all of this." So, if you do need that time off of work, then you shouldn't be ashamed to take it, and it is necessary. Everyone needs rest, and if it's not work that's making you stressed, think about the things that is making you feel overwhelmed and take a step back from it and give yourself that break from it.
For sure.
I've put lowering expectations temporarily because I think, you know, we have such high expectations of ourselves and it is exhausting trying to constantly meet those expectations. So just give yourself a fucking break, lower those expectations. Yes, I'm not going to be able to cook dinner every single night. I'm not going to be able to do this. The washing's going to pile up, all of this sort of stuff. At the end of the day, it's not. You don't need to do it. Just lower those expectations. You don't need to be Superwoman. You can be a normal human being for a week and you can go back to it afterwards.
And they're your expectations.
Yes.
And I think that's something that's quite interesting in relation to that is that I'm going away to on holiday for 10 days. And we were just like, oh my God, we need to get an episode in every week.
Yeah.
Because we want to put an episode out every Monday. And ultimately, yes, we've got like lots of, great followers and people interacting with our content, and we're very grateful for that. But that it would have put intense stress on us that there was no.
It's not necessary. Yeah.
And there are expectations, not everybody else's. And I think that you have to remember that you're not letting anyone down. If we didn't post for like 3 weeks, we'd probably be letting a few people down. And I'm sure that people were thinking, oh, when am I maybe posting again? But ultimately, the world isn't going to end.
Yeah. It's not the end of the world.
If we don't do that. And just in the same way, the world isn't going to end if you just actually take some time to look after yourself.
I think as well, when you're getting out of the cycle, like it's always hard to get back into things. And I think a good tip would just be to rebuild your routines slowly. If you've just gone through the burnout and you feel like you're coming out of it a bit, if you used to go to the gym like 3-4 times a week, don't put that pressure onto yourself to be like, all right, well, I'm feeling better now, so I need to do 3 to 4 times. Like, you're not going to snap back instantly. And it's just about doing it slowly. Like, you might just go to the gym once, or like, oh, I've got a big pile of washing that I need to do.
Just do a little bit.
A lot of the time, I know particularly for me, ADHD people struggle with an all or nothing mindset. And that is always, I am either 0 or 100.
Yeah.
And it's always black and white. There's no grey area. Sometimes you just have to allow yourself to be in the grey area for a while. You don't need to be doing everything.
Yeah.
You don't need to be doing nothing as well. You can do little bits here and there. And that is sometimes the hardest thing, because if I know, oh my God, all the washing needs to be done, realistically, I'm not going to look at it and go, okay, I'll just do like half of it. And then like, I'll do the next bit tomorrow. It's like, I want to do all of it.
Yeah. So,
and you've just got to give yourself that, just build those systems back up slowly, because if you rush into it, then you're just going to end up burning out. You're just going to end up burning out much quicker.
I think there's probably a few more things we've got on here just in relation to what I was saying before, was addressing dopamine depletion. So when you're in that state already, you're already depleted of dopamine, even more so as someone with ADHD, and even more in ADHD burnout. And then, are you also doom scrolling? Are you going and sitting on every single night before bed? Are you doom scrolling? That extra bit of dopamine. Are you drinking alcohol? Like, all of the things that give you dopamine, are you taking that away even more? And you need to probably think about, okay, maybe I need to spend a little bit of less time on social media. And instead of spending time on social media, I'm going to go out for a walk.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get my dopamine that way.
I'm going to start journaling and putting all my feelings down instead of like doom scrolling and being like, oh yeah, another war, all of this. You're avoiding it, and you need to find ways to bring your dopamine up that are healthy. Don't do a massive shopping order because you're like, oh my God, this is going to help me, and then the shopping comes and you're like, okay, I've got all these clothes now, I spent loads of money, and then that's it. That's the little dopamine spike. And then there's the shame of, oh shit, I've just spent money. I don't want this. So it's like going for walks, journaling to put all your thoughts down. I know everyone says this, and I know that it's like a really cringe self-care tip, but like meditation and breath work.
Oh my God, I
Like,
need to do meditation again. It was great when I used to do it.
like I'm not good at meditating in a typical sense. Like I'm not going to sit there and just try and clear my mind because that is fucking impossible.
There's a lot to clear.
But there is too much to clear. But I do enjoy the guided ones, if that makes sense. Or sometimes a really, I'm not going to say boring, but like a really nice audio book that has a really nice calming voice makes me feel happy. Sometimes I listen to Stephen Fry's audiobook of Odysseus. And I fall asleep every single time I listen to it, but it's because it's so like, I love the story, but it also just like is so like calming, and like his voice is just makes me feel warm and fuzzy. And so yeah, finding those things, even if it's like binge watching Gossip Girl, like even just find things that help you feel better and bring that dopamine up, that are not things that are going to make you feel shit later on.
Yeah, will seem like they're a good time in the moment.
Yeah. Not looking for those short-term dopamine spikes, but looking for those long-term sustainable dopamine. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that's probably everything. I feel like I've covered quite a lot there. Obviously, as we always say, we are not medical professionals, and we are just giving our own experience of ADHD burnout. And if you are actually struggling with ADHD burnout, then definitely
seek some support, whether that be going to your GP, a therapist. Also, I've never personally done ADHD coaching, but apparently it's amazing. If that's something that you feel that you need help with, to help put more of those support systems in place, then 100% do what you need to do for you. That's the most important thing, is looking out for yourself, and don't worry about, you know, if you're struggling at work and worrying about other people thinking that you're not doing as well. You know, you're allowed to have a week or two of not being perfect.
Nothing bad is going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we did mention briefly that we will not be posting next week. I think that's right.
Yeah.
We're missing a week.
Because Emily is going to the Maldives. Very jealous.
Next time we call.
Yeah.
But we do appreciate everyone that's been following us and engaging with us still. And as always, if you can subscribe, do the, give us a review, that would be amazing. And if you do have a podcast episode request, then let us know. Yeah, we've got a whole week off to have a think about it, so we'll come back feeling rejuvenated and lots of new ideas. Friday. Rejuvenated. Oh my God, feeling rejuvenated. Excited and refreshed. Don't know how that ended, but yeah, I think that was a good way to end it. I can't think too much about it. Oh, we did it! We did it! Woo! It was 2 episodes. Rejuvenate.